For May the 24th, 2019, we talk about Snakeybus, some new Super Mario Maker 2 details, and we do a free play multiplayer. Welcome to level 286. My name's Kole Ross.
My name is Dennis Furia.
My name's David Mysmith.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back, Dennis.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you're calling in from one of the Twin Cities.
I am indeed, and it is not St. Paul.
Oh, I was going to say, for privacy purpose, I will not name which one it is.
Oh, no,
and technically, neither did he.
If the government can find me in the next 3 hours based on that, then they deserve it.
Okay.
Oh, they don't need that.
Oh, yeah. So it's good to have you on. You're calling in from a crazy hotel room where there's desks on the ceiling and there are guitars on the floor.
Yeah, it's a really interesting ethos here, and that is not a joke. There's an electric guitar and an amp to play it with that could be turned up loud enough to bother neighbors.
To be fair, the way you describe this, it sounds like you're sleeping in a Devil May Cry level.
It sounds way more adventurous than it is, but I appreciate the effort. It's like, hey, we know you're never actually going to play this loud enough to bother anyone, but we want you to think you can.
Right. In fact, it is timed. If you try and whip out a scorch an immigrant song at after 10 p.m., then it administers you an electric shock.
I just like the idea that there is like an RA style person here that walks around to the rooms that actually decide to take advantage of it and is like, hey, could you turn it down just a little bit?
Yeah.
Like maybe use some what are they called, hot sticks or
all right, dude. Use a practice pad if you can on your drums.
Yeah.
Also, do you guys need any condoms?
Is that part of RA training? I didn't know that was there.
I don't know, but it's funny because Ben is not here. He had a work thing. It kind of sounds like we're making fun of him because he was our RA. Yeah,
no, mass respect to that guy. He dealt with us. By which I mean the absolute model students through college.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, no, but I like the idea that they have a different instrument in each room, and if you can just find the right people, you've got a full band ready to go. Yeah.
Nice.
So I have yet to determine if I am rhythm or lead. We'll see as the night goes on.
I think you just start jamming and you see where you fall.
You see who responds. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, a hotel in Minneapolis with some cool shit.
Cool. Yeah. David, how about you? What's going on?
Not a whole heck of a lot. Yeah, just kind of hanging out. About the most interesting thing I found is I've been trying to get back into some of the cosplay type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, looked up and found a fabric store in the city, and was like, oh yeah, I'll go look at that. And then it turned out to be in New York's garment district, and it's like, oh, this is literally an entire street where every go building is fabric, and they have entire shops that only sell different feathers and rhinestones.
Yeah, so the name makes sense. It's not just a bluff. It's not like an Iceland Greenland kind of thing.
Well, I just figured because usually it's oh yes, this is what people did in this part of the city 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Here it's oh yeah, I forgot. New York actually still has a fashion industry.
Right. And probably not many meatpackers can afford to live in the meatpacking district.
Probably not.
Yeah, or set up business. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Do you have a project that you're working on, or do you want to keep that secret until you debut it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep it secret. I've only got 3 more months until Fashion Week, so
just walk around dressed up and then see if anybody pulls you out off the street.
Yeah, I actually...
We need to get you on the runway, buddy.
So that's actually something I'm interested. I didn't realize it was Fashion Week's in September, so it was like right after I got here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that like I'm kind of interested in, like seeing. I'm assuming there's some parts of it that are open to the public. I feel like that would be an interesting experience, like, experience a completely different culture than what I know about. So that's actually something I'm a little bit looking forward to.
Oh yeah. No, you just don't try not to play Hitman between now and then, because instincts might trigger. So Ben, I know, played Hitman. Did either of you?
Is this, I assume, the most recent Hitman named?
Yeah,
Hitman?
the 2016 one. So to explain this joke, the first major level has you going to a fashion show. So that's nice. That's the joke.
I feel like, that just goes right back into like you being the least conspicuous Hitman ever.
Man, Hitman is a very, very good game.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had an awful lot going on. I feel real bad that I ruined a bird's nest.
Oh, what?
I know, it's one of those things. It's not a good place for a bird to make a nest. It's just this happened a couple of months ago too, or about a month ago. Robin started building a nest on top of my on top of the light outside my front door.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all built up, and I was like, well, I felt in, are there eggs? If there were eggs, I wouldn't have moved it or bothered it, because robins can re-nest. It's fine. No eggs. So I took it down. And then here again, I think probably I'm going to say it's the same robin, because I like being paranoid and saying there's a bird conspiracy. But yeah, no, Robin started, taking mud and twigs up there to build a big old messy nest. And I had to take it down. Because again, it is not a good place for a bird to be.
So the most awkward nesting location I've ever seen is my martial arts instructor for a season, hung out a wreath on his door for Christmas, and some birds built a nest in it. I think actually laid eggs.
Oh,
so
God.
like every time you'd open the door, they'd just flip out.
Yeah. So I would like to, I thought about just putting up a bird nest or a birdhouse. But it's a robin, and I don't know if you guys have seen a robin, but robins are big. And most birdhouses that you get are kind of geared toward sparrows or finches or stuff like that. So I don't know if there's anything I can do for you, buddy.
You could you like somehow give Greta a long enough like leash for her to get up there?
That's the other part of this. If I didn't have a cat, so if it wasn't in a bad place for a nest where the light would be turning on and off, because I turn my porch light on, and heating up the nest probably too much. Also, I don't want a bunch of chirpy little birds right outside my bedroom window and driving my cat nuts, So, yeah. But that's all that's going on. I think proving that I live a charmed life if all that I have is bird conspiracy problems.
This is just apropos of nothing, but have you seen any of the YouTube videos of the people's cats trying to attack the screen when they're playing Monster Hunter World?
No. Are they trying to go after?
Yes, it's amazing.
Are they going after the palicos?
No. Usually going after, like, they'll be in the environment, there'll be like little birds and stuff, hopping around and like stuff like that. And so you'll see the cats just, kind of stalk up to the TV, do the little, butt wiggle, and then like pounce at the TV.
God, I thought that butt wiggle was just kind of made up. I thought that somehow they were doing it with, like puppets, or, CGI when I saw the videos. The butt wiggle's real, y'all.
Yeah, so I read a thing, it was discussing different like theories on why they do it. If I remember correctly, the two most common are either A, that it's just like it kind of stabilizing itself, or B, that it's instinct to sort of do that to make sure that whatever it's standing on won't collapse under it.
I could see, I don't see, so those seem like they are compatible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I always assume, because like if she does it and she's like on a loose blanket, she won't go. She'll like reposition and then launch from a more stable position. So yeah, a little dipshit. Yeah, so that sounds like some banter to me. How do you feel about going on to do the show? We got the usual kind of thing, you know, the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss.
Mm-hmm.
We good to go?
I think so.
Okay, well, let's get started with
The grind.
The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Dennis, you've been away the longest, so I will throw to you first.
Yeah, I got a cute little game called Snakeybus to talk about.
Snakeybus?
Oh,
Snakeybus.
Steam is super convinced that I want to buy that.
Probably because I've played it. Yes, it is as amazing as it sounds.
Okay. So this is okay. I'll let you describe it. I know what this is.
Yeah, there's only one way to describe it. Like legally, you can only describe it in one way, which is the perfect synthesis of Snake and Crazy Taxi.
Okay.
So you are a bus driver. And, you know, they probably, if they paid any attention to how vehicles work, should have chosen train as the choice. But train is on a rail, bus can go wherever.
Not if it's a ghost train.
This is true. But there are no suplexes in the game, so that's not going to work. Yeah, so you start out as a bus, and as you pick up passengers and drop them off at specified points, the bus turns into one of those like city double buses with the accordion in between.
I always worry that one of those is going to cut me in half if I sit near the joint.
Yeah, no, don't do it. Stay away. go to either end. But how can you do that when it multiplies into a triple and fourple and on into infinitial version of that? And soon after you've dropped off a couple of bus loads of people, you are driving a bus that is 250 links long. And so this is where it starts to take on the aspect of Snake, in that your ability to deliver to certain locations. Every map has about 3 to 5 locations to deliver to. You start taking up a lot of space, and you need to learn how to get over and around. And I was going to say through, but that's not possible. Your kind of earlier segments as the bus chains out longer and longer and takes up more and more of the space that you've traveled previously. So it honestly, it starts out pretty innocuous. The other major verb that it gives you is a rocket booster, because, if you're going to be a bus, you got to have a rocket booster.
Yeah.
and so you can, at certain periods of time, jump up into the air, which if you need to go over a bus, that's great. Over your previous self, that works. The next level play is to jump strategically at intersections before you go over them.
Yeah, leave yourself a little bit of leeway if you know you're going to be coming the other direction.
Knowing that this is like a high probability place that you're going to come back through, and kind of create the bridges for you to go under.
Okay.
Certain maps have, every map has ramps built into it. Certain maps have like features. The Paris map has like a giant, I don't know what to call it, other than bus station that you can drive over and jump off of. So there's ramps and kind of geographic features that you can use to get sick air.
The ramps, they say. That was fucking dumb. Continue. Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. So you kind of can strategically get into the air to create space, or to get over previous versions of yourself, to try to make the chain as long as possible. The maps are laid out that basically, reasonably smart play can get you up to 250 links in the bus chain, just kind of having fun. And then you really need to start thinking hard and planning and being strategic about it. I have yet to get over 300, so there's a bit of a hard wall for me right now to get over 300 links.
At what point does your computer grow arms and legs, get up and stomp out of the room saying, I won't be treated like this?
No, you may not, sir. No, it is kind of a lo-fi aesthetic So it's not like pixel graphics or anything like that, but it's definitely stylized in a way that's easy for the computer to play. So I would love to see it test the upper limit of that, because you could certainly get this up crazy long. But the graphics are not such that you're worried about it taxing them at any point.
Maybe
so it's
taxiing them.
Taxiing them, yes. Crazy taxiing them. I've enjoyed it. The maps go from very, not realistic, but kind of down to earth at the beginning into increasingly whimsical environments that get more and more abstract until literally you're like a series of roads circling a dark orb. Like, that doesn't sound like a thing, but that's an actual thing that you play on. And so, you know, the fun of it really comes from, how do I pick my route and lay out a pattern that I can then overcome in you know, a smart way as my bus gets longer and longer. So I am embarrassed to have spent as much as I did on it, because I read about it and was like, I need this in my life. So I spent $10 on it, which fine, you know, whatever. I imagine relatively quickly it will go on sale for like $2 or less, and when that happens, absolutely pick it up. It's a ton of fun.
I imagine they're riding high on kind of just being a game that streamers like to stream.
There's that, and then there's certain, you know, elevator pitch concepts that are strong enough to deserve the money up front. Like, again, Snake plus Crazy Taxi, go. And you're like, I don't care if this game is any good or not. That concept is just that someone had that idea is worth my money.
See, I feel like if someone gave me that pitch, my first question would be, does it have Samuel Jackson?
No, I think you want, was Keanu Reeves in Speed?
Yep. Keanu Reeves and
Keanu Reeves. There we go.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, and Dennis Hopper.
Sandra Bullock was in Speed?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no.
I need to watch that movie.
It's actually not bad. Dennis Hopper is fucking unhinged in it. Yeah.
So this is Speed occupies this place in my memory of we had relatives that we'd go to just for Thanksgiving every year. Like, it was that aunt and uncle that like you never interacted with, but they hosted Thanksgiving. So you saw them once a year. And they had a giant wall of VHS tapes.
Okay.
In their living room. I mean, literally an entire wall that was just stocked with movies. And the one movie that I always gravitated towards, I don't know why, was Speed. And I'd always find it, and I'd pull out the box and read the back of the box and be like, oh, this seems so cool. But never actually watched it. So go figure. So there's Dennis's childhood for the night.
my Speed memory is, I think my parents really wanted to go see it, but they couldn't. They didn't get a babysitter or whatever, so they gave me a bunch of Dimetapp and took me to the theater with them.
Yes.
Yeah. Dimetapp. It is a purple sweet babysitter in a bottle. So
you technically saw Speed in theaters.
I did, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Nice.
1994. Oh. So,
you know, somehow that explains a lot.
It probably does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Snakeybus.
Snakeybus. You can unlock different skins for your buses, and the legally correct skin is the Rainbow Road style LSD bus that you can get. So it's the skin that just changes color and flashes bright lights. And you pick that, and then you just don't look back.
Can you get a skin that makes you look like a cobra?
You can get a skin that makes you look like a dragon. So that's about as close as you can get.
That's not close enough. Sorry. No, I will not have Diet Pepsi. Thank you. I asked for a Diet Coke. Yeah.
This game has, like, you know, expansions and random skins written all over it, though.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I could very much see it having like topical maps. It's like whatever country gets into the news headlines next, there will be a map themed after that.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of like there was a burgeoning scene of Octodad, maps and levels themed around stuff like music videos and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so fun, not worth the $10 I spent on it, but worth the thing it's going to go on sale for, I guarantee you, in a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it is wish listed. And at a moment of weakness, I may just mess around with it. So
good. See if you can get over 300. It's hard.
Yeah,
it's really hard. And that's the thing is, like, you go in, you watch the trailer for the game, and it shows the bus careening around at top speed, and bouncing off of walls and doing crazy jumps, and that's what you think you're buying into. The reality of the game is you're driving as slow as you possibly can, and as carefully as you possibly can.
So it's nothing like a taxi.
No.
Real quick question: what happens when you fail? Like, is it just okay if you touch yourself, do you just blink out of existence? Do you annihilate like matter and antimatter? Is it just
there's like a physics system at play where you can hit yourself. You just can't stay still for more than, I think it's like 5 seconds or 4 seconds, something like that.
It is like speed.
Yeah, so you can even make contact. And in fact, as you're driving through some of the more narrow roads, legitimately you just kind of get on the inside of a turn that your prior bus is making, and then just let the prior bus steer you for a bit so that you're making the maximum amount of space possible.
Rubbing is racing.
Yes, exactly. Like they're, bump drafting, essentially. And you when you stay still though for more than 5 seconds, the front bus bursts into flame. The rest of the bus is fine. The rest of the bus is perfectly fine.
But the front of the bus is where the go is.
Exactly. It's like a train in that way, unless you fall into a bottomless pit, of which there are many, particularly in the more whimsical levels that I mentioned. In which case, the rest of the bus just slowly careens into this bottomless pit. And that's probably the most fun of the game. However, is when you crash, you can go into flyover cam mode and just kind of trace back your route through the map.
That's satisfying.
And look at all the crazy decisions you've had to make that led you to this inevitable failure.
Yeah.
It's a good
side note. Did you say bum drafting?
Bump drafting.
I think he said bump draft. Yeah, he said bump drafting, but I'm pretty sure he made it up.
I saw a bum drafting video on the internet. I did not like it.
No, disrespectful. They're human beings.
Yeah, no. So that's Snakeybus. It's a good time. Nice. And that's the new thing I've been playing. I've been streaming a lot of Devil May Cry Hell and Hell mode. And for probably 6 hours invested plus on that level, I've progressed through 4 missions.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell and Hell is where all normal enemies, all enemies have health and attack as normal, whereas you die in one hit.
Okay. That
and so it's
sounds
the ultimate mastery.
Yeah. Huh. Is that do you find that fun?
I do. It basically changes Devil May Cry into a puzzle game.
Okay. Do you have a lot that you can do? Because I associate that series with incredibly flashy stuff where, incredibly flashy combat where kind of just taking a little bit of a hit is just kind of built into it. That could just be because I never reached a level of mastery where I did anything real sloppy. It just feels like there isn't a lot like defensively you can do. Yeah.
So everyone knows how much I love the DMC reboot. Mm-hmm. And Jala's not here, so it's safe to talk about.
She can't hurt you. She might hurt you later, but not now.
She can't find me in Minneapolis. So I definitely brute forced my way through that Hell and Hell mode. Which, by the way, for anyone wondering about that name, there is a Heaven and Hell mode before that where everything, enemies and you included, dies in one hit. Huh. Probably the easiest mode in the game. It's really just meant to kind of be a lull and allow you to explore and find all those secret collectibles that you didn't get on your first couple playthroughs.
Is there a Heaven and Heaven mode where it just plays itself?
Yeah, no, that is called the DMC subreddit.
What?
The Heaven and Heaven.
Oh, I don't get it.
I'm thinking 7 minutes in heaven. Don't even worry about it. By the way, I've been following the DMC subreddit because I'm in love with these games, and it is a very horny subreddit. I will tell you what.
I imagine, yeah.
as opposed to other subreddits.
Touche. Very much a fair point.
Hey, you know what? Horny happens everywhere.
Horny happens everywhere. Yes, it is Rule 34 for just life, not the internet. No, anyway, so I've been playing through on this difficulty, and you definitely you can brute force it like you did in the reboot, where you hang back from everything, you play super conservative, and you completely focus on just staying alive. But in terms of how much time it actually takes you to complete that mode, it's probably no different than if you're being aggressive and stylish with the way you're approaching it. Yeah. So yes, you probably will die more frequently if you're being aggressive and stylish in the way you play. However, when you just stand back and play conservative, it just takes so much damn time to do any damage that the sheer just, low probability over time, it means that you're going to die eventually. So better to enjoy yourself, try to do something cool, than to hang back and try to stay alive at all costs.
Huh.
Yeah. So I've been playing that as well, but nothing really new to say about that franchise or that game. DMC5 is a masterpiece. Anyone who loves action gaming will love it, and I can't recommend it enough. And I'm also the one person on Earth, apparently, who wants a DMC reboot sequel, but that is another story.
Oh, I at the very least, I want them to bring back Purgatory or whatever.
Yeah, Limbo, yeah. See, there are dozens of us, dozens!
We will not be silenced. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Awesome. David, how about you?
Sure. So, I've been continuing on with Assassin's Creed. It's basically more Assassin's Creed.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. As opposed to, say, becoming a Call of Duty game or something, I guess.
Yeah, at least somebody's not sneaking into your apartment to swap out the discs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, overall, just my conclusion for that is they've done much, much better in terms of storyline and interesting setting and stuff like that. Unfortunately, they've done much, much worse in terms of gameplay.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's some kind of quantum uncertainty thing where they can't have both good gameplay and good story at the same time, or what's going on. But yeah, so that's definitely a thing. So the one thing I've kind of gotten into that I don't think I've talked about before is, have I talked about the ship-to-ship combat at all?
I don't believe so.
So, that's been a thing in the series for a while, although this is the first one I've played that's had that. But what's kind of unique here is your ship is I have no idea if this is pronounced right, triene, something like that.
I don't know.
It's basically one of the Greek ships that its primary mode of combat is it has a battering ram on the front, and you just run into other ships.
It's a real dick move.
Yeah. So the entire combat run revolves around that. So you can, for example, you also have archers and javelin throwers, and those can generate kind of weak points in the other ship, and then if you ram those weak points, you can just cut the other ship in half.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, as you do. I'm sure that's historically accurate. Or if you want to, you can just actually get onto the ship and just take it over, kill everyone on board and take the stuff.
My ship now.
Yeah, exactly. And then you keep doing it. Eventually, you have an army. I think my favorite, though, accomplishment so far is there's a mission where you basically, you save a guy, who's a captain from he was captured, but he's too injured to, get to his ship. So he's like, hey, there's this, enemy Spartan ship in the bay. I need you to destroy it. And conveniently, your ship has like psychically known to just pull up to the local dock. However, I realized instead it's the ship is right in the bay. I can just swim out and get on top of it. And it turns out if you do that, the enemies will fight you, but you can't actually take it on. However, or take it over. However, about halfway through, some Athenian ships showed up, and basically I proceeded to have a sword fight on the deck of this ship as it's engaging in naval warfare with these other ships, and eventually they sunk it, and I swam back to shore with the mission accomplished.
Nice.
I'm not sure that's how they intended it to work, but that's how it worked.
Fuck them. It doesn't matter what they intended.
Yep.
That's great. You're making me want to play this game.
It's Dark Souls principle of if it worked, yeah, it was supposed to happen that way.
Yeah.
The rules don't say you can't just snipe, Dancer the Burial Valley. Other than that, just continues being on. The other thing is, the Warhammer series is currently in the middle of their yearly, once a year, Skulls for the Skull Throne celebration.
Okay.
And so Vermintide 2, along with like everything else they've ever made, is on sale.
Oh.
And so I picked that up and tried it. It's pretty cool, Dennis. You should definitely join me on this if you can.
Okay.
Because it's pretty damn spiff. But yeah, it's very much still the same. It's Left 4 Dead, just with many more swords and lots more rats.
Okay.
You're in a different city this time, and the rats have partnered with the forces of chaos.
Sorry.
Which
I know that those are things. It's just that's out of context. That is a funny sentence to me.
Yes. Yeah. So they're basically like Cthulhu Vikings.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things actually of this is compared to most games, their equivalent of Special Infected are just, kind of carbon copies of the Left 4 Dead ones. Whereas in this, there's a number of them that share similar roles, but really they're all pretty unique. And they're also things that have been part of the lore for like what units Skaven field for a long, long time.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of cool. The other thing that's kind of fun is they really, really double down on the banter between the characters.
Okay.
And they've added a lot more of it and a lot more extended dialogue, and a number of it is very, very funny. So just they get a lot of mileage around. For example, one of the characters is a witch hunter who's basically like a super zealot, like burn down an entire town to kill one witch type of thing.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of like back and forth with things like he'll be all incensed that the forces of chaos like massacred an unarmed village, and the other characters be like, so you're saying if the person you're after was unarmed, you'd let him go? It's like, no, heresy is the most dangerous weapon. So it's just just a bunch of dumb stuff like that. There's a lot of really good just bickering, just them, talking about, you're going through a swamp and whether if the dwarf falls in, whether he would, be able to, have his head still be above the water or whatever. Just weird stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and for sure you're playing this on PC, not PS4.
I am playing on PC.
It's one of those games where like the can you run it diagnostic says no, but my heart says yes.
I mean, to be fair, like this is a game that tends to have like potato mode.
Yeah.
So. You make a good case for it.
I mean, also, if you buy it on Steam and it doesn't run, you can just return it.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
I mean, that is like the one scenario in which it is always okay to to return a game like that.
Yeah, it's not abuse of the system at all.
Yeah. So I'd say the one other thing I want to shout out that I really enjoyed just because is there's a character that in the previous game basically the end of every Left 4 Dead level you have to get like into some sort of vehicle so you can drive off. Mm-hmm. And in Vermintide 1, it was always a stagecoach with this like crotchety old lady riding it.
Okay.
And she's just a little bit of like a joke character. But this time around, she's now somehow like this apparently is actually some sort of like witch spy person. So like she is actually masterminding most of the missions you're going on and stuff.
Yes.
Which, I mean, it's really weird, but the way it's executed is very, very entertaining. So yeah, that's all I got.
Nice. Vermintide 2.
Twice as much vermin in the tide as the last one.
Yeah, the part about the dialogue actually being funny, or the incidental, kind of team banter being funny, like there are a lot of games that kind of crib from Left 4 Dead because it's a really good formula. That is an aspect that I don't know that I necessarily see talked about very much, but absolutely the way those characters talk to each other is a huge part of the appeal of Left 4 Dead. So that they cribbed, that they paid attention to that mattering, kind of speaks to a level of care, I think.
Yeah, and they use it a lot to fill out the characters and a lot of the interactions, because if like Warhammer setting, like most of the characters are basically the in-game equivalent of like super racist, and like one of the characters that are human, one of them is technically a prisoner of the other two, and one of the other two works for the other guy. And so there's a thing where basically none of the characters kind of likes each other, except a lot of the dialogue is, kind of them after all this having, kind of learned to like each other in very, very snarky ways.
Nice.
So, it kind of, pulls out some of that stuff.
Nice. Cool. Anything else?
Nope.
Cool. I don't have an awful lot this time. Still mostly doing things on assignment. I finished up Killer 7 on stream, and that game is rougher than I remembered it being, although I never thought it was spectacular in terms of play. It was really just kind of fun watching people be confused in the chat up until the credits, where I just kind of summed everything up because very little is actually answered by the ending of that game. So I don't know, maybe that was a power trip. I have no idea. But yeah, that was fun to stream. I'm looking forward to streaming something else. I did Pony Island as well, on
Nice.
Hexcrank.
Okay.
Yeah, I've talked about this before. This is it's the game that starts out like you're playing a kind of cutesy, very simple, endless runner kind of game, but it turns out it is an arcade machine possessed by the devil. And you are kind of hacking it in midstream in order to beat the devil at their own game so you can rescue all the souls who are trapped inside of it.
Well, and that's one that, like, even for that premise, it still goes off the rails.
Yeah, it's pretty goofy, because the devil is designing this game for you, and there's just a bunch of like really fun, like, all right, well, this level is it's supposed to test to see if you've got the wings. In order to get the wings, you have to you have to get experience. Why don't you grind for a little bit? In order to level up so you can get these wings. And it's like you beat a level and like 1 experience point out of the 999 that you need, and then you can go in and hack and then just like automatically create a loop that raises your experience up to where you get it. When you get beyond that, you find out that the devil was trying to was using that time to develop more game for you. So you're going through like a bunch of unfinished stuff on the other side of that. Yeah, it's a real neat game that even does some really good and effective like meta trickery. So it was
good and effective.
It's good and effective meta trickery. Okay, yes.
I was gonna say those two don't belong together.
No, they don't. Good and effective. There we go. Yeah. So Killer 7 and Pony Island. Questions about those two?
They just released the Pony Island people just released a new game, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm curious about it. I didn't know they released it until I read the news update on Steam. It's called The Hex, where like you are this fantasy innkeeper, and each chapter centers around a character who comes into the end who's from like a different kind of game.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, I guess that's my question is around like I have to imagine you went into Pony Island knowing the twist, right? Knowing this was not just face value cute pony game.
Yeah.
Did that affect your experience at all?
Yeah, I mean the game that is on the face of this would not be for me. Similar to how the game that Frog Fractions is on its face would not have been for me. I went into it knowing there would be a twist. Mm-hmm. When I played it several years ago, I wasn't ready for specifically how the twist were articulate, but I knew there was more to it, and that is fine and good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever play Killer is Dead?
No, that's the other game by another game by Suda51.
Yeah.
No, I never played that. That was one of those kind of hyped up or talked about as like, yeah, this is my follow-up to Killer 7, even though I don't really have the rights to those characters of that world anymore. Something like that.
Yeah, I will say, and again, this is just, I know, maybe the dumbest thing ever. Like, at the very least, it is worth watching. The opening, like, monologue cutscene for that game is probably one of my favorite things ever, just for how nonsense the dialogue is.
I'm down for some nonsense. Yeah, I'm down for that. I think I have that. I picked it up on a sale at one point shortly after it came out. Yeah. The other thing I played, and I only did an hour of it because I've started a new project for Hexcrank called Hexcrank First Hour. This isn't streamed. It's just up. It's up on YouTube. What I plan to do is kind of every week-ish play the first hour of a horror game and do it as like a Let's Play. So the first episode of that is about the new game by the team that made the Cat Lady. And their new game is called Lorelai.
Oh, okay. That's actually the one I was thinking of. I thought was made by the Pony Island people.
Oh, okay. Yeah. you just got mixed up.
Yeah.
But both
still
of those
looks like a great game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really like the first hour that I played of it is really promising. I really like the Cat Lady. Downfall was a bit more of a qualified more of a qualified recommendation, just because it was a remake, but they went back and kind of monkeyed around with stuff in order to make it fit into this broader cosmos or cosmology of the cat lady. That is a crazy sentence to say out loud, but I guess I'm going to stick with it. Yeah, Lorelai is also in the same universe, but you're playing as this young girl, in Britain, young British girl who kind of is trying to get out of this abusive home. Specifically, her dad passed away, and her mom married this kind of sleazeball, stepfather kind of figure. And it's, Lorelai and her little sister trying to get away. And it is so far as depressing and as heavy and as oppressive as the cat lady is. So the recommendation comes along with, you got to be ready for that.
Features a cameo by our very own Omega Moose.
Does it?
Have you not gone to the creepy moose dude?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No.
Mooses be creepy.
Moose are scary, man. Not a mega moose. He's good.
You say moose? I don't know if it's multiple or a single. It's just. Ugh.
Well, which
it's more the concept, the platonic ideal of moose.
What comic was it that had the joke about the plural of mooses? I don't know.
I just think of a Muppet Christmas Carol. No cheeses for us mooses. that has nothing to do with moose.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to playing more of Lorelai. This team, aesthetically, even when they were a little bit more low fidelity, they knocked that out of the park, both in terms of character design and animation. They've really stepped up their game. Like, this is just a beautiful kind of mixture of hand drawn and kind of photograph style aesthetic to it. Yeah, Lorelai is really good so far. I don't know if it takes a shit later on and does a lot of really problematic stuff. I have no idea. But yeah. Good stuff. Any questions about Lorelai? All right. Seems like it's time for a multiplayer. Now it is time for the multiplayer, where usually we ask you a question and then you answer it. But, it's been roughly 5 episodes, so why don't we do a free play? This is where, guess what? You ask us the questions. Turn around. I'll get started here with Ollie, who asks, what gaming accessory would you like to invent?
Oh, this is a tough one.
Yeah. I'll just get out in front of this and say the perfect accessory that lets both vision and hearing impaired people play video games perfectly. Anybody who answers otherwise is amoral.
Yeah, you went altruistic with it. This is tough to follow. I was gonna say like a easy 3D, like the 3DS works if you're staring directly at it.
No.
I want that for an entire room of people with no one needing eyewear.
No. Ooh. For some reason that feels like it would pour out a bunch of radiation. I know that's not how any of that works.
I mean, whether or not it gives you cancer, we can't really consider these things. Yes. I just want the effect in the moment.
Yeah, Starlight gives you cancer. I mean, come on. Oh.
Well, I mean, I know there's some sort of Elder Gods reference in there somewhere, but anyways, I think I'd go with I don't know. Can I just say that like console finally admits that mouse and keyboard is superior?
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Like other than just like AR VR, becoming a thing. Mainstream, I think that would be. No, actually, I'm going to say if like gesture recognition could ever actually work, I think that would be my thing.
Yeah. Mine is far more modest, but a thing that I love about the Switch, and that is also something that I loved about certain configurations of the Wii, was not having to hold my hands close to each other. Let me explain.
Okay.
When your controller is just two dinguses, you have the left part in your left hand and the right part in your right hand. It actually I don't know. I find it more comfortable to kind of like lay back or not kind of force myself into a posture where when I'm holding a controller, I tend to hunch over. Whereas with the two pieces separated, I kind of take a more natural posture that lets me kind of move more often. Yeah. So I would love to
be one with the couch.
I mean, kinda, but also like I want to, I want to be able to play like in a bunch of different positions too. Like it's easier to play a game laying down that way. It's easier to play like if you're crouched over a laptop, like typing, like you can put one side of it down while still like navigating stuff. Typing with the other hand. Like, yeah, no. So what I would do is just say like, oh, like make a PS4 or a PC controller that lets you do the same thing. Just let me snap that baby in half,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I don't know how that would affect the touchpad like on PS4, but oh well.
Yeah, I know when you talk about like not being able to, having to keep your hands close together or whatever, I know why my brain immediately goes to just, like Accordion Hero being the next big game.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Greg asked a question. This should be simple to answer. What's your favorite gaming system and why?
Mine has to be PS4 just for the fact that you can stream at the touch of a button. Like all the headaches I've endured downloading OBS and figuring out settings and worrying whether or not that's affecting the performance of the game that I'm trying to play, just being able to hit a share button and be done with it is perfect.
Nice. Yeah. How about you, David?
I mean, I think probably my super honest answer would have to be, PC. I think in terms of like my, what do I wish I could return to, you can never go home type of thing would be like Game Boy or just portable gaming in general.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, just the fact that Nintendo's the only one that does it and they've adopted this weird ultra fast life cycle kind of kills that for me.
Yeah. I can see that. For me, it would be a toss up between the PlayStation 2 or the DS Lite. And for both of those, it is kind of a function of, I think that those libraries are unassailable. Yes, I understand if PC was in the running, that would have to, that would trump everything. However, just both of those, both DS and PlayStation 2, I don't know. It was just kind of a nice sweet spot for me. And I like those, specifically the Slim PS2 and the DS Lite, not like the first iteration of the DS.
I was really, really disappointed, just side note, that none of the Game Boy era Castlevania games are included in the Castlevania anniversary or whatever.
I was bummed out about that too. However, I hold out hope that there will be a second collection they put out.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know I feel like there's a weird thing where we now need like anniversary edition and then anniversary the games you actually remember.
There's some good stuff in that collection. I need to see how much it is on Switch because I am due for a replay of Castlevania 3. But no, I understand what you're saying. I have more affection for the DS ones specifically for me.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see here. Adam says, what are your favorite gaming exploits, glitches, or cheats? Back when I first played Final Fantasy VII, I really liked the W item thing that duplicated any item as much as you'd like. Yeah, that was a good one. There was a similar glitch for duping items and Final Fantasy 2, which I think was the 2/4, which I think was the first exploit that I ever took advantage of, like consciously. For me, the memory leak in Bloodborne is kind of a fantastic thing because I don't know that you can even like make that happen anymore.
What is that?
So when Bloodborne first came out, there was a memory leak kind of coded into it, which meant that if you just kind of kept the game running, but only put the system to sleep when you needed to take a break, things would start behaving very strangely. So like a late game fight against kind of a great old one style god, Abritus is her name. You get to that battle and it's supposed to be incredibly difficult, but because I had the memory leak on, it ended up being pretty easy because this gigantic decaying old god was just kind of like running into corners and stuff like that. And like, I honestly thought that it was part of the story. I thought that it was like, like them building in this breather boss because this is obviously a very sick or moronic god that I need to put out of its misery. Wasn't the case. Abritus is a punishingly hard boss, but in the early days of Bloodborne, there was really no indication that was the case.
So you kind of lucked into this one.
Yeah, and everybody who played the game around launch before it was patched out lucked into that one.
Well, my understanding is this is something where that applies to almost every boss in the game. I think
a lot of the bosses had little tricks that happened like that.
Yeah, so from what I remember, I think the explanation was, or at least the one people gave, was that it basically, in order to try to save memory, they basically abbreviate their movesets.
Okay.
For at least a lot of them. So, and I guess it just happens that for many of the characters that ends up being a lot of their cheaper moves.
Okay. Yeah, I had no idea how it...
I don't know if that's actually the case. That's just kind of that's the playground, rumor explanation I've heard.
That sounds reasonable enough. I would believe it. How about you guys? I kind of came out the gate strong on that one.
Yeah, so mine similar. This is like off of memory kind of style, but I think it was Sonic the Hedgehog for Sega Genesis, where the thing that my older sister told me was like if you entered the right command right as Sonic blinked the second time on the start screen, you could get into level select and just pick the whatever level you wanted. And it's something that I only got to work once or twice, but it did work. You could get in and just pick the final boss right off the bat. And that kind of potential every time you turn on the game was really enthralling. So I would try for it every single time I logged into the game. And only, like I said, only ever got it to work twice. But that kind of thrill of, oh my God, I hit it at just the right time, and now I can go straight to the end boss was incredible. Seeing pieces of the game that you would never ever see, because this was before the time of any kind of reasonable saving or anything like that.
Which Sonic game was this?
I want to say it was the original Sonic the Hedgehog for Sega Genesis.
Gotcha.
It could have been one of the sequels though.
It's a hard game.
Yeah, a very hard game. And the other thing that stands out in my memory of that, not an exploit, but we would play it so long that the Genesis would start running out of batteries. And we would either have to, or we would have to try to swap out batteries without killing the system.
Wait, so batteries on the Genesis?
Maybe I'm remembering. Is this the Game Gear? Was there something that took batteries?
Yeah, I think you're thinking of the Game Gear.
Okay, this would have been Sonic for the Game Gear.
Yeah, those were even hard. Those Sonic games on Game Gear were even harder. Yeah.
Yes, so that's probably if it took it was like 8 AA batteries or something like that.
Yeah. So 6 AA batteries, and you only got I think 2.5 hours out of a charge. At least I did.
Yeah, and so that was the game where you could get to this magical level select screen, and then also if you played it the regular way, halfway through, you were going to have to do this emergency pit stop style swap out and hope that you survived.
Yeah, that is precarious. Mm-hmm. Yeah. David, how about you?
So I'm not sure I really have one. I'm trying to think, like I definitely made use of, actual cheat codes back when those were still a thing in games. But in terms of exploits, I mean, other than just in the Souls series, I will cheese anything it'll let me cheese. I can't really think of anything. I feel bad like giving a non-answer, but
did you ever mess around like with Pokemon, like do any like missing no stuff back in the day?
yeah, I did. I did mess around with that some. Yeah, so I guess that's yeah.
I don't want to like
That's
say by default that is your favorite because it's the one you remember, but
yeah, no, that's definitely a thing. I don't think I ever actually like did it and then kept any of this stuff. For example, use like the infinite items and then actually played with that.
right.
But yeah, I definitely screwed around with that. I think I might have caught a couple of the like higher than level 100 Pokemons.
Oh, yeah.
Just to like mess with people.
Nice. Let's see here. Casey says, instead of video games as sports, what sports do you want or already enjoy as video games? For me, I'd love a really good Olympic fencing game, VR or console, like a proper simulation of the sport. So send no Nidhogg. Yeah.
For me, this would definitely be like the Tiger Electronics bass fishing game.
Oh shit! Yeah.
This was back when it was literally like a fishing rod with an LCD display in it. And it was just the most satisfying thing ever to be using that depth chart and going down to the right level and then yanking it just the right time.
Yeah.
Very fond childhood memories of that.
Same. My grandpa had one of those, and we'd always play it when I went over to his house. It was like his he had that, and he had a little kind of Tiger LCD poker handheld poker thing as well.
Oh sure, yeah.
Oh yeah. Handheld poker is a classic. So I think for me, I'm a big proponent. I want to see more games do the Call of Duty-esque, like, let's make them an RPG them up. And more games do, like, the let's make an MMO. So I feel like there's a ton of games that, I guess to a certain degree, I'd love to see, like, the Pokemon-type world of, like, I don't know, what if we had a world that entirely, revolved around fishing and you had to, like,
Oh, it's like Legend of the River King or something like that.
Yeah. Like farm for rare fishing, fishing pole drops and stuff like that, or same thing with like auto racing. Like, I feel like actually in particular auto racing, I think would be really interesting as something that has a lot of the things that make combat a good fit for games without actually being combat. So I think it would be interesting to see someone like straight up make a thing where like, we're going to have loot, we're going to have classes, special abilities, leveling, all that stuff. But instead of you like fighting people and doing raids, you're like doing auto races and you gotta get your team together and I don't know, Fast and the Furious, these raids.
Did you ever play the Mario sports games for the Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance developed by Camelot?
I did not. I know that they're a thing and that they kind of have a career mode that sort of does that, right?
Yeah, they've got like little stories where you're going around and like you get new gear and improve your stats and stuff.
Yeah, so I never got into those, although that idea always appealed to me. But yeah, I think something like that would be cool. Other than that, Modern Pentathlon, just because it's already like 90% of an action game.
a lot of the key components.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just gonna cop out on this and say I like golf and I like golf video games. I will lean into my suburban whiteness.
Another game that would make, or whatever, that would make a great MMO.
Yeah. No, I saw they put out for PSVR a VR version of Everybody's Golf, which sounds like it is right up my alley. Yeah. Let's hear. We can do a couple more. Let's hear. Mike says, "What type of setting do you think is underutilized in video games?" I want to see more Eastern European stuff. And specifically like in a time period, I had always clamored for an Assassin's Creed game that was set in revolutionary Russia, basically post World War I style stuff. But yeah, between like Stalker and Pathologic, I'm just really interested in that region and kind of the tone of the stories that come out of there. So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, I just want more deep sea stuff, like Echo the Dolphin, where you at? Like, I just more stuff underwater, please.
Nice.
So I think a lot of I'd love to see Indonesia in like an historical Assassin's Creed type thing. Similarly, I think India has a lot you could do with it. I'd love to see two sort of like, I guess, fictionalized. Well, I would say across the board, I'd love to see more in some of the kind of fictionalized versions of other cultures. So like the, Arabian Nights types of settings, the like wuxia, kung fu type settings, stuff like that. The other thing I'd love to see would be a game set in a post-Return of Cthulhu world, where the society had in some way figured out how to coexist with the fact that like Cthulhu horrors exist. I think you could get a really interesting setting out of the fact that like most of the Cthulhu monsters aren't actually evil. It's just the fact that humanity reacts badly to them that makes them a problem.
Yep. That's good. I like that. Yeah. Let's do one more because it's been about 20 minutes and we can do this pretty easy. Root Bass, do you like IPA beers? Yes.
Ooh, increasingly is my answer.
So
no.
So David, you don't care for beer that much, or has that changed?
No, I'm not real big on beer. Part of it, a lot of it is I like neither bitter taste nor coffee taste, which tends to be the vast majority of beers. And in particular, kind of my habit tends to be I don't drink like regularly. Like I don't do the like I'll have a beer with say every supper. So if I'm going to have it, it's effectively dessert. Right. In which case I want something sweet.
Makes sense. Have you had like a hopped cider?
I actually don't overall don't like hopped cider. It's drinkable. If I was going to do that, I'd probably do like a sour.
Yeah.
But
that makes sense.
I am a big proponent though, in the whole question of like, is a hot dog a sandwich, those sorts of questions. I am a big proponent that an IPA is Indian food.
Yeah, no, that's that. I don't normally go in for that, but I can see the reasoning.
Yeah.
So you said increasingly, Dennis. Did you?
Yeah, I found myself starting to gravitate towards like hazy IPAs or juicy IPAs.
Yeah.
Any of the gateway.
I'm
IPAs.
not sure I believe those are actually words.
There are. It's funny.
Yeah.
We just talked about this on the Watch Out for Fireballs dispatch. Just the 5 to 10 years where a bunch of breweries just decided to hate fuck people with hops. I think turned a lot of people off to the idea of hops in general when there is variety and you can have, an IPA that is not so much bitter as like, just a little bit piney, but with like citrus, So I think it is good that there are at least people who are recognizing that IPA is not necessarily a filthy word.
Yeah. Well, and I had sworn it off pretty hardcore for a long time.
Yeah.
But they had someone, just a server at some place in, where was that? Where were we traveling with family? Might have been out of Michigan, actually. And some server was insistent. They're like, you said you don't like IPAs, but as you're describing what you want, like, I really just want to bring you this. Just try it. And I was like, all right, you can do that. And I said to it, I was like, nope, you were totally right. Like, that this is amazing. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Yep. It was out in New York at the Finger Lakes. Cool. That's just a little brewery out there, and the guy totally had my number and got me started on IPAs. So haven't looked back since.
Nice.
I think the big thing for me that it seems like most people don't understand is that there's an access. So, sweet versus bitter and dark versus light.
Yeah.
And it seems like I hear a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't like, IPAs, therefore I must like super dark beers. And it's like, well, not necessarily.
Yeah. No, my parents, when you talk to them about that, about beer, and it's kind of like, oh, you like that super dark, super bitter stuff. And like, I wouldn't like that. It's dark. And it's like, no, there's like, they actually have very little to do with each other.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I find that the answer for most of that is, were they brown ales or whatever?
Oh yeah. Where like it is just sweet and nutty.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that sounds like a multiplayer to me. Thank you everybody for writing in. Sorry we didn't get to your question. But it'll get thrown onto the old spreadsheet. We'll do a cleanup here. Yeah, if you would like to participate in multiplayers, just go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about something that is exciting us in the world of video games or adjacent fields. Dennis, what is the story you brought?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to change mine up because I had posted PlayStation has like a film division that's going to be happening, and fine, whatever, you can murder whatever beloved franchise I want or you want on screen. That's not something I'm truly excited about. Mm-hmm. I will go with, I'm excited that Capoeira is in Devil May Cry 5. I think I can share this one with David.
Sexy dance fighting?
Yeah, exactly. Smoking sexy style is now smoking sexy on the dance floor style. And one of the weapons, Balrog, in that game has a mode that is effectively capoeira as a serious martial art in the game, complete with just like breakdancing on the floor to knock everyone around you out. So it is fun stuff. It is completely over the top and joyful, and that is something I enjoy. Is just over the top fun things in video games.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you're gonna dance fight, might as well do it sexy.
Exactly. And man, there is nothing more dance fight sexy than a little Dante action. So
nice. I've got one. Nintendo held a Nintendo Direct specifically for Super Mario Maker. Super Mario Maker 2, rather. I am implausibly excited for this game to come out on Switch. And the details that they announced just make it seem like it's going to be a more full-featured product, up to and including, like, there's going to be a story mode where, like, you are rebuilding Peach's castle as you go along. It's going to have online and local multiplayer, either races or co-op, and there are a bunch of different kinds of new elements that they've added. Including, the things that I think are going to make a huge difference. Like, you can make it so the camera doesn't follow the character, which means if you want to let the character like run off screen a little bit to find a secret, then you can do it. It's also, they're also adding in the floating snake blocks. So like in Super Mario World, when you hit a question mark block and then it just kind of telescoped out and it formed a little moving platform, you can actually like trace the flight path of where it's going to go. Rising water level and lava levels within stuff. Yeah, I am super psyched about this, and it's coming out really soon. So just again and again, the Switch is the place to be. I want it. I want Super Mario Maker 2 now, please.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping, I'm now envisioning this as being, what is it, Dragon Quest Builder, except Mario. I'm hoping that's what story mode ends up being.
It might. Wouldn't be bad. Man, and some of the videos are out of just crazy. The thing that is disappointing to me is that these cowards have not put in a Super Mario Brothers 2 mode where you're making Super Mario Brothers 2 levels, but I don't know. Maybe Super
There was
Really?
a hard drive article, which is the Super Mario 2 maker is just a reskin of Doki Doki Panic Maker.
That's pretty good. So yeah, that's mine. David, how about you?
Yeah, so I've got something that, a series of news stories that surely foretell good things for the Division 2.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently Ubisoft has come out and said that the Division 2 didn't meet sales expectations on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And I actually didn't know this till the initial article I'd read didn't cover this, but I was reading in Forbes and they gave more information that apparently they said, though, they blamed the sales problems on having a lot of competition. And they said that one of the good features was that on PC they had 10 times as many sales on the Uplay store. However, this article pointed out that apparently there weren't actually any shooters of note that came out during that time period.
Okay.
As an example, I think they said Apex Legends was like a month and a half old by that point. And also apparently they had some sort of deal with like Epic Store to somehow, I don't know, like convert it sounds like convert Epic Store things to Uplay things or something like that.
There are games, I ran into this with Anno 1800. There are games you can buy on Epic that require a Ubisoft Store login, similar to if you buy Ubisoft stuff on Steam. Kind of the same deal. The storefront is Steam, but it ultimately has to be authenticated. The DRM is handled through Ubisoft.
Okay, so that's what they're saying. So yeah, so like that 10 time, increase in engagement may not have meant anything.
Okay.
Luckily, they say that they're expecting that the new raid will kind of tip things in their favor. So in other news, players are upset that Ubisoft lied when they said that all events in everything Division 2 will have matchmaking because the raid does not have matchmaking. This is problematic, one, because it's arguably explicitly a lie, or at the very least, it's something where they kind of advertise as like, oh, everything has matchmaking, and even if they meant, say, like everything at release or like everything as far as we've planned, like that's was definitely understood as a reference to the fact that Destiny doesn't have matchmaking for raids. So literally the only thing that there was ever any question they might not have matchmaking for is exactly what they don't have matchmaking for.
So
Also, in other news, it turns out that the raid is virtually impossible on console.
Huh.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, so the PC players, the world first was about 5 hours after release, whereas on console, as of 48 hours after release, no one had beaten it. I believe now, after 3 days, someone finally has.
Yeah, and
but
they fell in pretty quick succession. There was like one after a week, and then two more directly after that.
Right. But apparently, some of what I read is that despite it being the game being a cover shooter, apparently the mechanics emphasize a lot of points where like enemies will charge up behind you and you have to be able to like instantly turn in place and take them out, which heavily favors mouse and keyboard.
More, I heard it was the very first boss. Basically, one player has to simultaneously run away while also turning around and shooting him to make sure his quick healing doesn't activate. So you have to like sprint in one direction, quick turn, shoot, quick turn back, sprint, quick turn, shoot, quick turn back, and run. So and it's just impossible.
Yeah, and I think for me, this gets into one of my big complaints with the whole there not being matchmaking, which is that's same thing that Destiny did. They kind of said this is something that takes too much coordination for a pickup team to do, and it's like, well, that's only the case because you put dumb mechanics in it. Like, and granted, I was the person who was an advocate when it's talking about from software games of like you can make a game as hard as you want, that sort of thing. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That being said, I would argue there's a distinct difference between something being challenging and something just having piddly mechanics to make it artificially hard.
Yeah.
And I think it's also going to be a bit of an issue just because they, unlike say like a World of Warcraft where once you hit max level, even if you're not going to raid, there's still tons of stuff you can do. I'm not sure what they intend in end game to be for people who don't fit into this rating set. So yeah, the game could have some problems.
Yeah. Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's such a fine line to walk. Like, a raid in the platonic ideal should be something that you can only overcome with strong team coordination, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
I think though potentially what I would argue is with the difficulty thing, kind of my argument was what I think is valid to judge game on is the degree to which in a single player game it teaches you to deal with that difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in this I'd kind of say like it's on them to make that sort of coordination possible, by which I mean like I notice Apex Legends has a ping system you guys haven't implemented.
Yeah.
Why can't you be more like Fortnite?
Well, no, but I do think legitimately, like I think it's, I don't know. I would borderline say like you shouldn't put in mechanics without also putting in a way for players to communicate about those mechanics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we shall see. We shall see.
Well, how do you guys feel about bundling it up?
Jala's not here, so zippers.
No, she expressly forbids zippers.
The credit.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode of The Level. We really appreciate you hanging around with us. The usual stuff you can do. The only new thing, I mentioned that new piece of video content that I put up. Consider going to youtube.com/Duckfeed.tv to check out that stuff. Additionally, all my stream archives are all caught up now after being woefully behind for a very long time. Takes a long time to edit and export and upload those. I guess I could fix that problem by not editing, but it goes against every fiber of my being to not edit. So yeah. But otherwise, for this show, ratings, reviews, and Patreon are all good things to do. Otherwise, come back next time. I've been Kole Ross. You can follow me on Twitter at Kole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Twitch at GreenLaser73.
I'm David Myersmith. Maybe someday you'll find me.
Catch me if you can. And until next time, stick around for some titles. Damn it! They're coming to get you. Which one of you is that? Who has the sirens going on?
It ain't me.
Oh, that's me.
City living. Let's see here. Who has titles?
1 sec, I do, but I'm
I have
snarking with
two.
people on our Slack channel for a sec.
I have Bird Conspiracies from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So Bird Conspiracies. And then the rats have partnered with the forces of chaos.
I kind of like that one. That's going to be hard to beat. I had actually 2 that were back to back. Not If It's a Ghost Train. And Nah, There Aren't Any Suplees.
Nah, there aren't any suplexes.
Yeah. As a side note, that's a interesting word if you ever want to look up some real confusing like etymology.
Suplex?
Well, just the fact that like actually the correct pronunciation of it is supple.
Oh, geez.
And virtually, except for the fact that like virtually no one uses it. So is that still the correct pronunciation? Like,
oh, right,
it's weird stuff. Anyway, and I had bump drafting.
Okay. I only have one, and it's a version of one that Dennis brought. A Charmed Life of Bird Conspiracies.
Yeah, that ain't bad.
Yeah.
So I will vote for the rats, but I don't have strong feelings one way or the other.
When was the last like longer title we had?
It's been a bit.
Might be worthwhile. I'm literally looking it up. Yeah, that's all right. I like the Charmed Life of Bird Conspiracies, the extended version. If we're comparing the two,
yeah. I'm in favor of that one too. It is a pleasing series of sounds.
It is the cellar door of podcast names. Which, by the way, did you guys see that article I posted to the back channel?
I did. Yeah, people
fucking amazing.
Yeah,
which was this?
Go to our backstage channel and look up the Hard Times article.
Yeah, it's back up toward it was the last one that shared yesterday. It was a gaming comedy podcast, now 2 solid hours of incomprehensible inside jokes.
Yep.
And people posted that specifically referring to abject suffering. And at first I felt attacked. And that's what you said, Dennis. I feel attacked. I mean, yes, there are in jokes, but I don't know. I try not to lean too much on them.
They had our number though on what was the podcast of 2 to 8 men and 1 woman. I was like, oh Jesus.
Yeah. No.
And then there was there's a joke about how there's an entire segment each episode dedicated towards the woman being mad the men can't hold it together. I was like, oh
yeah.
God.
Oh geez, we had Den Mother. No, I don't like that one bit. The detail from the article that I really enjoy is the title of the episode.
Yes, because I read it.
The mayor of Hamtown strikes back again, the reckoning.
I was like,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
we
sure
would
it's one of
have
the
that.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was amazing.
Yep. Cool. Well, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, good hanging out with you guys.
Yep. Take care. Travel safe, Dennis.